All right, let's get right into a story that starts out so simple, just a celebration between friends, but ends up as a terrifying, unsolved mystery that, honestly, will stick with you. I mean, seriously, just think about it for a second. A road trip, a few laughs, a little adventure. It's something pretty much all of us have done, right? But what happens when one wrong turn, one single bad decision, changes absolutely everything? And look, this isn't just some made-up campfire story. This is a real account from one of the friends who lived through it, a chilling chain of events that kicked off with excitement and spiraled into a total nightmare. So to really get what happened here, we're not going to start at the beginning. No, we're dropping right into the middle of the chaos, the very moment that everything fell apart. I want you to picture this. You're deep in some forest, miles and miles from anywhere. The engine just sputters and dies. And the silence that follows is just heavy. All you can hear are the sounds of the night. That's when the panic starts to creep in. The tension inside that car is just thick enough to cut with a knife. It's boiling over. One of the friends, Shankar, he's starting to crack. His voice is just filled with this raw terror that starts to infect everybody else. The driver keeps turning the key, but nothing, just a click. And then, just like that, something absolutely wild happens. Without even a word, Shankar shoves the car door open and just runs, disappears into the pitch-black darkness. What on earth could he have seen out there that made running into the blackness a better option? The other 5 friends, totally stunned, jump out and run after him. But as they're tearing through the woods, that's when it gets really, really terrifying. They start hearing voices calling out to them from the trees. And these aren't just any voices. They're the voices of their own dead family members. It's like a psychological assault, using their own grief as a weapon. Okay, so how in a world did they end up here? Chased by what sound like ghosts in the middle of nowhere? To figure that out, we gotta rewind. This whole thing kicked off with 6 best friends from Guwahati, Assam. They had just finished their final year exams. You know that feeling, right? The future is this big, open road, and they were just ready to celebrate. The plan was simple: get together, have some food, have a good time. But you know how it is. During the party, one of the friends, Vikas, he throws out this idea. He suggests they do something bigger, take a trip out to his village for a night. But then he adds this little twist. They should try this horror ritual he'd read about, one that supposedly lets you see your own future. Now, most of them were a little hesitant, but Vikas, he was persuasive. And just like that, the fatal plan was set in motion. So 3 nights later, they're on their way. And it's almost like the journey itself was screaming at them, turn back. But they just weren't listening. I mean, just look at this timeline. It shows you how fast things went south. At 1:30 in the morning, their car dies. They just filled the tank, so it makes no sense. 5 minutes later, as a friend named Ashik is pouring in more gas, he swears he sees his grandmother standing there, plain as day. She died 3 years ago. Then, at 2 a.m., they finally get going again, and the strange old man just appears out of nowhere, blocking their path. And this old man, he warned them about something very specific. He used the word chalawa. Now, in the local folklore, this is a type of shape-shifting, deceptive spirit. They're known for mimicking the people you know and love, using familiar faces and voices to lure you right into a trap. I mean, his words were just bone-chillingly direct. Are you here to die? That's what he asked them. He told them this forest was crawling with these spirits, that everything they see is a lie, and that if they want to live, they need to turn back right now. And just moments after he vanished back into the dark, their car died for good. And that's the moment right before Shankar bolted. Now, somehow, the friends managed to escape the forest that night. They found a little roadside diner and just huddled there, completely shaken but alive. You'd think, right, that after an experience like that, the whole ritual idea would be toast. You would be wrong. So they get to Vikas's village the next day, and everyone else is just done. They want to forget the whole thing ever happened. But not Vikas. He just won't let it go. He is still dead set on performing this ritual. And the real question is, why? Why would you risk everything after what they had just survived? And the reason why? Well, it's just heartbreaking. Turns out Vikas's mother was gravely ill in the hospital, and he was just being eaten alive by worry. This wasn't about a cheap thrill for him. He was desperate.
He truly believed this ritual was his only shot at finding out if his mom was going to be okay.
So this ritual that Vikas was so set on, it had these really specific and honestly super creepy steps. You had to go to a deserted crossroads at 1 in the morning, use a comb to make this specific sound, and when you hear footsteps approaching, you have to immediately put on a mask before you see what's coming. Only then can you ask the entity 3 questions. It was literally a dangerous game he was planning to play.
His friends, they begged him not to do it. They pleaded with him, but Vikas was just beyond reason. He was inconsolable. And what happened next is something that would scar them for the rest of their lives.
So they had been in the village for a couple of days, but on the morning of that 3rd day, they wake up and the feeling is just wrong. Vikas isn't in his bed. He's not in the house. He's just gone. Right away, a frantic search starts. And of course, remembering how obsessed he was, the friends bolt straight for that village crossroads. And what they found there, it was a really grim scene. A massive boulder, way too heavy for any one person to move, was just sitting in the middle of the path. And pinned under it, a torn piece of Vikas's shirt. And nearby, spatters of blood on the ground. Vikas was just gone. He was never seen again. The police were called, search parties got organized, but not a single trace of him was ever found. The whole incident left his friends with a scar that would never, ever heal, and one terrifying lesson. You know, Sargam, the friend who shared this whole terrifying story, she really said it best. This stuff isn't a movie. It's not a game. When you start dabbling in things you don't understand, treating ancient rituals and dark forces like some kind of casual experiment, well, the consequences can be all too real. The friends left that village, completely shattered, their group forever broken. They never got any answers about what happened to Vikas or what he might have met at that crossroads. And it leaves us with this one final, really haunting question. In our search for answers, are there just some doors that are meant to stay closed?